says, rejoice in the Lord always. Somebody say always, because how many of us are doing that? Right there, Daddy Pete, I'm going to talk to the Pete's like one of my spiritual parents. Right there, we can really stop and go home. For those who are truly saved, that's a lot to ask. That's a declaration right there. Rejoice in the Lord always. Trigger, that's enough to go home. Somebody say always. I can't rejoice when my mind is bad. I can't rejoice when I'm broke. Can't rejoice when my car ain't working. I can't. That one sentence right there is a declaration. It's like a tattoo for those who are saved. That's what he says right here in the text, First Lady. Rejoice in the Lord always. That always is what gets me, Donnie. If it didn't have always on it, I'd be okay. But when he say rejoice in me always. And I think about those who said I wouldn't make it, but those who talked about my mama and talked about my family. It's hard to rejoice. But it's not impossible. Sister Quanta, all those who talked and laughed at you for whatever hurt your feelings, but you kept on ticking. Sometimes it's hard to rejoice. Always. Some of y'all saying, I don't even pray always. Be honest in the church. But then Paul says, I will say it again. Rejoice. Look, John, I'm confused now. It's hard to rejoice when you see all this murdering going on, when they continue to promote guns and who really runs this country. It's hard to rejoice. Hard to rejoice when our economy, it keeps going up, when inflation keeps rising. It's hard to rejoice when you look in your mailbox and see that your taxes, I wish I would preach it to some people in here who own their own house, and you look and those taxes keep going up. Somebody got to say, it's hard to rejoice. Don't leave me by myself. It's hard to rejoice. I had just enough money put aside for this, and now I get another one saying I owe $800 more on tax. It's hard to rejoice. I just need 25 people this morning who will be real with me, who say, I didn't come to church today to have hands laid on me. I came today to be revived. And being revived is ugly. It's ugly when you're revived, because you have to let stuff out of you when you're revived. You have to start crying and snotting and wiggling and screaming and hair going all kind of places. Yeah, I don't need to be touched by man's hand today. I need to reconnect with God's Spirit. That's what's wrong. The church has become too pretty, where we can't even serve God in the same way we want God to bless us. He says, let your gentleness be evident to all. Oh my God. I wish this was in Portuguese so I didn't have to read it. If I couldn't understand it, then I'm not held liable. But he says, let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Listen, do not be anxious about anything. Who's struggling with that right now? Just raise your hand and put it down. You don't care who see you this morning. Put two up and say, I feel that. I've been anxious for a man. I've been anxious for a new job. I've been anxious for a raise. I've been anxious to move. I've been anxious for a new car. I've been anxious for a new bra. Somebody said I ain't had a new bra in 8 months. Okay, you know what? We moving. The four of us moving. Standing there looking at me. I know they don't preach it like this everywhere, but somebody said, I need a new bra. I know how mama sacrificed. I know how women have to sacrifice for the house. I know how mama makes sure everybody else got something, even if she don't have to. She had to put a pin in the brother. I've seen it if I know what it's like when the mama have to sacrifice, and she's saying, how you want me, pastor, to rejoice, and I got a safety pin in my bra. Somebody say, yeah. It's just like that. But he says, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, Jesus, present your requests to God. I'm rejoicing. I don't even know what the next sentence is, but the fact I have a sounding board to go to. He says it right there. Present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, watch this here, will guard your hearts and your minds in who? Christ Jesus. I want to finish up this series this morning entitled Blinded by Discouragement. Tell a neighbor, blinded by discouragement. Don't ask them if they're blinded by it. Just say blinded by discouragement. They'll swear you're trying to get nose in the devil in you. No, just blinded by discouragement. It's tough out here because it's sad to say, but I know everybody hear my voice this morning. Somebody ain't gonna win. Out of everybody that hear my voice this morning by way of television, somebody's hearing it, but they're not going to adhere to it, and they're going to lose. Because they don't want to be truthful that they're blinded by a situation. Something going on in their life that they have lost control over, or it has gone beyond the stretch and the rim of their hands, that they have no more power. That they got to trust in something greater. They're blinded, meaning they can't see their way out of a situation in their life. If they can have a quiet conversation with Jesus by themselves, they'll tell him how much they were ready to leave the situation they're in. They'll tell him how scared they are from the report of the doctor. How worried they are because inflation's going up, but they hadn't gotten a raise in 2 years. If they were true to this, blinded by discouragement. Have your seat. But you can stand if you want to, because we're going to be like this the whole day probably. Paul is so candidly written in the book of Philippians. He's talking to the church in a place that is fascinating. He's talking to the church about why they are feeling the way they are, and he reminds the church that trials will come. And it's not the trial that God looks at, it's how you handle the trial. He's happy, Paul is. But the thing, Donnie, that gets me is that Paul writes this from jail. He's writing a letter to tell others how to be what he is when they look at where he is. He's in jail trying to tell other people to be encouraged. You have a house with a roof, heat, gas, enough food, and essentials to be okay, yet you frown. You find a way to invite discouragement into your life. Some of y'all discouragement is your past. You cannot let go of your past. The decisions you made then, you can't let them go, and they haunt you. They are ghosting you because you don't know how to overcome them. And you keep telling yourself, I did it. And you apologize to your kids. I'm sorry for getting you in this situation. Every year at Christmas, you apologize to your kids. I'm sorry for not being able to get you toys this year. How many know what I'm talking about? You don't even have to put your hand up, because I know people come to church not to get saved, but to be prideful. I've been there where I had to apologize to my wife and kids because in the beginning, Pete, when I told them that we were going to Disney World, I meant it. But life happened. Life happened. And the truck needed new tires. The hot water heater went out. Took all that money, but my daughters were too young to realize what issues were. All they saw was Dad promised us something and he couldn't come through. I was discouraged. I felt less than a man because the three people I loved the most was looking at me in discomfort because I had promised something that I couldn't come through on. I wish I had more men in here that'll help me. That right there made me learn to do simple better. It made me learn, Sister Maria, to keep your mouth shut. As a man, it taught me how not to speak off of emotions, but wait an extra day and count the costs. Because if not only would I be discouraged, but it's worse when the whole house is discouraged by a decision that the man has made. I don't care how good you are, how talented you are, at times things just aren't going to go your way. I don't care how smart you are, how great you are at your job, at some point something's going to happen that you have no control over. That demon going to come at you in some way, form, or fashion when all you was doing was minding your own business. And you say, how did I get in this circle here? Why am I in the principal's office having this conversation about something I'm not even a part of? See, that's the problem. We think that if we don't initiate, that Satan won't retaliate. He don't care if you initiate or not. All he sees is a sheep, and he's a wolf. And the sheep that are out here by themselves, which are a lot of us because you don't find other Christians quite like y'all, he attacks the individual sheep. He attacks you and from the blind side, and you become discouraged. Now in football, they have a penalty now during this day and time. Football ain't like football was back when our time done, and when you can close hang like Ernie Ladd and all them Dick Buckers, may he rest in peace. You know what I'm talking about there. Lawrence Taylor. I want to go to New York over here. Mr. Chisholm looking like Taylor. That's my bad. We from up there, NY together. I get it. Crazy back then. They can kill you on the field long as it's between the white lines and everything was fine. And they get what they call blindside. I'm looking over here, and you hit me from here, and it was okay as long as my helmet was on this side. Now you can't even do that. They said you cannot hit players from the blind side because it's too dangerous. Yet Satan has mastered hitting us from the blind side because there are no referees with the one who runs the airways. He makes the decisions. He writes his laws, then retract them, then put another law in place for that day, then retract it, because Satan is all about right now. What I can do to weaken your spirit right now. And some of the things he used are emotions. What you see with your eyes. Your five senses are killing you. You didn't want no weed going home till you smelled it at the red light. Then you veered off, went on back over here, and got a dime bag. Do they do dime bags? Okay, y'all don't know. Yeah, they were. He's out there, the band, you almost got me, Pastor. Yeah, but you stop out because you smelt something. Or you didn't want to buy that purse until you went to the mall with your girls. If I didn't go to the mall with my girl, I would have never seen the purse. If I hadn't seen the purse, that sense wouldn't have told me I want that purse. And now because I can't purchase the purse, I become discouraged because I'm broke according to the purse. When you're really wealthy because you already made out your budget for the week. But we allow what we see in the supernatural, or what we don't see in the supernatural, to discourage us. So what happens? Now we're discouraged. And when we're discouraged, we go back and reflect back to what we know best. That's why the Bible says when you become saved, everything is passed away and all things have become new. When you're saved for real, because if you halfway saved and you didn't let everything go, you will go back and grab it. If drinking was a coping mechanism for you and you haven't been relinquished or you haven't overcome alcohol, when times get tough and discouragement comes and you're distracted, you will go back to that. Your body's built like that. That's why God don't deal with your body. We're trying to promote our body and make sure our body is healthy, and we're working out. And I walk, and I did this many steps today. You did more steps in a day than you've been on your knees in 2 weeks. It takes more effort to walk steps than it do to pray. But I never hear nobody say, I prayed 7 days straight. Nobody has ever come up to me in church and say, I prayed 31 days straight. Before I went to work, I prayed straight through 31 days. Never heard that. Unless we're doing a fast. And then I'm afraid to ask people on the fast. Because the blood get low because they're not eating like they should, and then they start hallucinating. So it's rough out there. There's times in your life that you've experienced anything that can happen will. You've said in your life, it can't get no worse, and it what? It got worse. It got worse in your life. That's where we are today. That's what Paul is talking about this morning. How do we overcome those things that blindside us? And when they blindside us, they blind us and cause us to what? Become discouraged. And you see the discouragement, and you never have to verbalize that you're discouraged, that everybody see that you're discouraged in your walk. That they see that you're discouraged in your facial expressions. They see that you're discouraged in your tone. You go home and you can tell your wife's discouraged when you come in the house and say, hey, baby, how you doing? Okay. First thing you... Lord have mercy. But then my joy comes when I think about it. I used to say, going back out the door and wouldn't say nothing. And head on across the street over there to the tavern where I knew my friends were going to be. I'm telling the truth. But now I look at it and say, oh, what's going on? Let's sit down and talk about it. Let's discuss it. But back in the day, I was in my feelings. I get in my feelings because she was in her feelings instead of being the head of the house and deal with the issue. I wish I had another man who said, I've been there. Because men are quick these days to say, I'm tired, I work just like you, I'm tired, I got problems too. Yeah, well, you're the head. You're the shield, and you should take the brunt of everything that comes in your house. I know somebody saying, man, this dude tripping. I ain't tripping, man. I paid the bus fare for where I am, and I'm keeping all my receipts to show you. Look at the scars in my spiritual life. I know what I'm talking about. Discouragement is a bad boy. Life happens, the unexpected. the uncalled, the unintentional, the phone call you got from your kid's school. This is your one day off to rest. And you got a call from the kids' school that Renee is up there acting out at the school. And you was like, okay, can I talk to her? No, the principal wants you to come up here. I ain't got but this much gas. And I'm in hair rollers and a nightgown that's unfit to wear anywhere but in the house when you by yourself. It's that warm. But you got to go. Those are the things that causes us to become discouraged because we never ready ourselves for the what if. We just live minute by minute. I love the Doobie Brothers, but I hate that song. I liked the song when I was younger. I keep holding on, minute by minute by. Yeah, you know what? This church here, I'll tell you what. If I was right in out there in Westchester, New York, they would have been standing up, you know what they would have been saying? Sing, Pastor, and I would have sung a little bit longer. But when you're in front of people, all they know is Tupac and Biggie. I'm discouraged. You've been damaged emotionally. Spiritually, your business is not doing well. You've tried to get your business up, man. It seems like it just keeps flustering. You can't get it up. You get the money, then you have to use it on something else. You can't find a building because everything's so high. And you say, why did everything have to go up when I wanted to start my business? Why did everything have to increase? Why I can't even get a loan right now? Not that I even want one. I don't want the loan if I don't have income coming in. But Lord, my dream has been deferred for so long that I'm discouraged. I'm discouraged because I've lost faith a long time ago. My bank account is screaming. Children hungry. We don't have but so much. Now I go to the store and I don't care about health. I buy things that try to stretch. My children are saying, Mama, we're tired of tuna. Tired of tuna. Remember, I used to say, Mama, Daddy Pete, we ate cereal with water so much I got used to it. And we never had the Frosted Flakes. We never had the Dig 'em Smacks. We didn't have the Apple Jacks. See, all that was when I was coming up. We had Corn Flakes. I wish y'all know, because the Corn Flakes, you can get them in the box like this. Yes, the Corn Flakes in the box like this, and we had this big old thing of that old government sugar, and then we had for everlasting water running from the faucet. But you had to have the water from the faucet because if you got cold water, it wouldn't melt the sugar. Okay. I used to get discouraged when we had cereal, water, and no sugar. I had adapted and adjusted to the water. Yes. We didn't have the little pretty bowls I got at home now. I've been blessed. We used to have to do everything out of Tupperware. I wish I had some real people. I guess the conversation, Lil John, it's discouraging them again, taking them back down memory lane. I remember you didn't have but two little Tupperware bowls, and then you had the big ones. Yeah. I would get the big one because I was the oldest. That means I can get more cereal. It was tough back then, but I found out something about discouragement. When you don't know better, where you are is okay. Because my friend and them were doing the same thing that we were doing, because in the projects, the one thing that is for sure is that the economy in each house is about the same. It's just a matter of every now and then somebody get a hookup and a come up. But this month, we're going to borrow electricity from Sister Sarah and them next door. True story. We're going to get that electricity till my mama paid us one extension cord going from their house, from their apartment door right through ours, and we're going to do everything we got to do before dark. Everybody going to iron their clothes before dark. Yeah. You can't wash no clothes on your hand right now. Lights off, everything in the house totally electric. We didn't know better then, so I couldn't be discouraged. One of the issues that we have in Christianity is that we tittle-tattle. We get saved, see what it can be, but we see what's required, and we go back over here, always knowing from that point on what's over there. But we can't get back there because of our discouragement. A lot of people these days might not eat cereal and water, but something has taken place in their life where they're discouraged. There's something that has had to happen in your life back down memory lane that caused you today to still be discouraged. There are some things you've seen like, I just cannot get over. I'm saved, but I'm not rejoicing. I'm saved, but I can't find my way. I'm saved, but I cry every day. Even if it's not externally, I cry internally from what I don't have. Or even better than that, what I desire. How can I be saved? And how can Paul tell me to rejoice? He says it right here in the text. Rejoice in the Lord always. Why should I rejoice always? And why should I listen to you? You're incarcerated. But he's free. I know what it's like to be incarcerated. The thing that makes it tough when you're incarcerated is not the other people. It's the inability to be free. Even though you have a cell that you can go in and out periodically, you know, ultimately you're held captive. And I'm looking out of a bare small window that all I could see from the federal pen back then was Miss Winters. Down the street from where my wife's mom lived. You know how agonizing that is? To look out and see the street, the road that I once frequented with my wife, because now she's my wife. You talk about discouragement. To be breathing but not free. That's tough. When you got all this education in your mind, but you made a bad decision. Your flesh superseded your spirit, and it cost more than I was willing to pay. That's discouraging. When you go to court and you locked up, you go down to the Richard B. Russell building and you with them chains, and you come in the courtroom and you see your wife, your daughter, your auntie, your mama, 3 generations looking at me. You talking about discouraging. Because the federal side ain't nothing like over here what you're talking about over here on Wright Street. I was over here in the federal pen. I'm in here with cats who have figured out how to break into the computers for IBM. I'm sitting with them cats, and then I'm over here. These cats want to know, how did y'all get all that cocaine, man? How are y'all moving the cocaine? Then these cats over here talking about how they made counterfeit money and how they got caught. All of it is, and it's just a grad level of crime. a graduate level of crime to people who are not free, where 99.9% of us are discouraged. You wonder why people get killed so much in federal pen, because people in federal pen are in jail a lot longer than people in the state jail. So they don't have time to play games. They don't do a lot of fist fighting in the federal pen. You hear when you start hearing the horn go off, just go to your, don't look around, just go back to your cell. Somebody done got stabbed. Got killed. Go in your room, shut your door, and just look out the window. Not my business. I don't need to take on their discouragement, because we're all a bunch of caged animals. The worst animal done in the world, the most feared, isn't the lion, not the tiger, not the rhinoceros or the elephant. It's man. Man is the most feared, ferocious, untamed animal in the world. Lions are not discouraged. They're built to hunt. And they know that they're going to kill their prey 30% of the time. They're good with those odds. So they get a pack of them. And they know now my chances increase greatly. It's simple being an animal. It's hard being a man. Because men become so discouraged, the first thing men do is go silent. At least I can say for my sisters, when things get too heavy, they're going to go ahead and express themselves. But a man will sit there in anguish and swallow all of the discouragement. Because so many times men are blinded not by discouragement, but by not having answers to problems. Jesus, whoa, Jesus, Jesus. This is for real men. This ain't for boys. This for real men today. So many men are discouraged and blinded not by the answer, but by the question. How can I get from here to here? I don't have a man to talk to that came before me. What do I do? And my wife said I do to my last name, and yet I'm not holding my responsibility. I know what's coming in this week. I know what bills have got to be paid. I know that what I'm bringing in and what's got to be paid do not match. I'm discouraged because I can't go to my granddaddy again. He ain't got no more money. I preach it by myself. Blinded by discouragement. We're discouraged before the stroke comes. Yeah. Yeah, number one killer for black men, strokes. You know why? We don't have a release valve. We don't know how to rejoice in the time of trouble because we never saw our ancestors do it. If we saw our ancestors do it, then we wouldn't have so many women raising children by themselves. But we leave the woman because our daddy left our mama. I got 4 different sets of brothers and sisters out there, all from my daddy. My mama only had 1 set of children from 1 man. They all came out the same womb. But now you got to deal with all the other different sets of kids that your daddy went out there and spewed everywhere. And he ain't taking care of none of them. He's looking for a place to lay his head. You know what he's trying to do? Figure it out. How can I rejoice when I talk to him and he borrowed from me? They don't like this. I promise you, we're going to move down there. Just get your stuff and move with me. It's the real deal. We don't understand The most abused and fearfulest creature on this earth is man. Satan wants to kill the very thing that God made in his image and after his likeness. He say, forget the women. I use them as a pawn. Did it right there, chapter 3 of Genesis. We've been discouraged ever since. And a lot of women has been encouraged because of that scripture, thinking that they can run circles around men. It's quiet today. They think that because Eve did what Eve did, how she used her God like whatever to spew Adam, women think they can do it today. And you know what? Women have proven they can do it today. Women have proven they can run circles around men because the man out there trying to bust his tail so much, working here, bringing the change home, and he can't be everywhere at one time. He ain't built like that. And when the woman out there, she killing him. Everything she make, she tithe into herself off of his salary. Ooh. She's tithing to herself, Daddy Pete, off of his salary while he out there sweating beads, trying to make ends meet at the house. I wish I had some. This is better than I'm preaching. How do we rejoice in our situations when they so bleak? When we have no answer? How do we go to church and rejoice when we don't have a prayer life? Because the jumper cables to your spiritual battery is prayer. That's the connection between us and God. He's the energy. So if I want to rejoice, I got to connect with God, and then God charged me through his word. And now I have so now I can rejoice when I know I did the best I could. I don't do what I used to when I was a young boy, panic. And then I started looking to me for answers from me. I was messed up from the floor. That's how I got in the dope game. I just got real good at it, real quick. But I never wanted to be in the dope game. I just wanted my wife to have the house, done it honestly, that I felt she deserved. She was my high school sweetheart. She had been with me from the projects. I knew she was mine because she wanted to come out there to the project more than she wanted me to come to her house. I got a special one. Yeah. I wanted to go to her house because they always had a lot of food. She wanted to always come to my house. I had a special one. Well, that special one, I wanted to ensure she had the house that she deserved. I wasn't making enough. I wasn't making that teaching. I wasn't making that kind of money for what I wanted. So I go out there and endure other employment that wasn't legal and just got good at it. Started making a whole lot of money real fast. I'm talking about a lot of money. What I make in a year, I'm making in a couple of weeks. Got good at it. And started moving up and down the coast, North Carolina, and we were just getting ready to open up shop in New York when we got caught. And at first, after I got over the part of, man, we got caught, I got mad because I saw what could have been. I saw what could, if we would have hit New York, the New York hub, I wouldn't be pastoring now. Me and my wife would be living in Puerto Rico somewhere. I'd be speaking a whole different language. Well, probably not Puerto Rico, but Siena, somewhere with St. Francis, where I'll be saved over there. Yeah, let me say how God work over here in Italy. Get us a villa over here in Italy, right outside of Siena, halfway between Siena and Tuscany. But God knew best. I became discouraged in a way, Sister Kwanda, that I've never been discouraged in before because he took the thing away from me that I love the most, the ability to be able to move around. God can immobilize you, whether it's in jail or through health, whether it's through breaking your bank account, but God can and will immobilize you if you don't start paying attention to him calling you. Everything you got can be gone. And that's what gives me joy now. I'm not caught up as much as I used to be in intangibles. The big house that I went to jail for, I don't care. My wife, we don't even care about a big house no more. She don't want no big house. I just want something cozy for you and I. My sister was talking about moving out her house. Her house almost paid for. She was like, I'm finna move downtown. I was okay, it's nice down there now. It is nice. It's very nice. That's just nice. Now, she made good money. She could afford it. But when she sat down and prayed about it, and she started thinking about them bills, and I got people living on this side of my wall, this side of my wall, up over my ceiling, and down to my... She said, I'm gonna keep fixing on my house, write that little bit off in taxes, and I'm fine. It's just me. She learned how to rejoice with what she had. She wasn't trying to look for joy through spending money somewhere else, because that don't bring joy. It doesn't bring joy at all. It brings stress. And eventually, after stress comes anxiety. After that comes hypertension. After hypertension, you know what it is. You see a lot of our black men do it. You see a lot of more black women do it now, too, because they have to take care of the whole house. It is really, I thought I was going to finish this today, but I can't. I got to stop because I really wanted to get to something, but we'll get to it next week. I'm not going to rush this. I've been getting more phone calls on this blinded by discouragement, just as many as a lot of other sermons. I didn't think this would really ride like this, but this is what happens when you're obedient to God. Let me say something. Everybody look up at me. Whatever's discouraging you today, if you brought it to church, you don't have to take it home. Leave it here. Leave it here at the altar. I wrote down, you get to experience God on the mountaintop, but you get to know God in your valley. Everybody want to get to the mountaintop, but you don't know God at the mountaintop. You meet God in person there in the valley experience. When things break down, now I don't have no way out. I don't know how to. Now you're getting ready to meet God in your valley experience. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care what you're enduring, how long you've endured it, why you say, God, why my child gotta be like this? Why they don't like my child at school? Why is it that my child daddy left us? What's wrong with me? Ain't nothing wrong with you. Everything's wrong with him. He don't have the qualifications to hold up to your standard. It was a blessing he left. My next prayer is, God, don't let me go without. But I'm not going to settle for anything at this point in my life. I'll walk away from it before I have to settle. Because there's nothing like peace. And I want to be like Paul said. I want to be able to rejoice in all things. Good, bad, or indifferent. God has given me the strength and the power to rejoice. In other words, let me give you an example. Lights cut off. Amen. Amen. Okay. You got terminated from your job. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. He got something else for me. He knew I wasn't going to leave this job. The only way I'm going to get what he got for me is he had to push me off this job so I can get what he got for me. He cheated on me. Drop that sucker. God got somebody who wants you, who's waiting on you, who's been praying for you, and they never met you. But you're going to know when you meet them, because they're going to speak your language from the very beginning, not by mouth, but by spirit. The Bible says, know the spirit by the spirit. We have to know people by mouth. Listen to the ever-changing resume that proceeds out of their tongue palate. Trust God this morning as we stand.
You've just had an experience with champions, and we are so glad that you tuned in today. Let's continue to honor God through our commitment to give. There are 4 ways to give. You can give online via Cash App at $Champions for Christ. Next, you can give online at www.championsforchristim.org. Lastly, you can give during service or on our mobile app available in the Apple and Google Play stores. Please be sure to tune in each and every week to our online broadcast. Encourage others to tune in with you. Remember, we are champions because we are champions for Christ.